My new wife and I have our own modern-day Brady Bunch. I have 4 of my own, and she had 3, although my children are much older than hers, with my 2 oldest already having moved out. Before she moved in, and even before we got married, I promised her and her kids many things, one of those being a much better home to live in. I promised her kids they would each get their rooms, something they've never had before. The time came for them to move in a couple of months back, and I came to realize I needed to make the space. My 2 kids with me still were willing to bunk up for at least 1 more year. My daughter here is a senior, so she won't be home much longer. And all I needed to do was get the clearance to give my oldest kids rooms to my stepkids who need the space. I called my older son. He answered, and he was okay with me cleaning out the room. My older, however, was much more trouble. I called her at least 3 times throughout the day with no answer. I knew she was doing this all on purpose, not to delve too much into details, but she and my wife don't get along. By proxy, she's turned on me. At a certain point, I was getting too anxious at the idea of disappointing my new stepchildren, so I just went ahead and cleared both rooms for the kids, giving my older daughter's room to one of my wife's girls. We went through a period of being a happy new little family. We went by the holidays smoothly. My older daughter did not come home for Christmas. She chose to spend the time with her boyfriend of 5 months over us instead of coming home. However, when it reached the new year, my daughter asked for something from her old room. I've talked to her a little bit between the intertwining months, but I admittedly didn't bring up the room thing because by the time I reached her, it didn't seem important. So this was the first time I told her what happened to her old room and how I honestly don't have anything from it anymore. The girl proceeded to scream and insult me, and I told her I tried to reach her during the transition and how technically it isn't her space anymore since she's been at school. That's when she threw insults at my wife, which was crossing a major line from my point of view. Essentially, it pushed me too far as well. I told her regardless of how she feels about my wife and her family, she's been no better because for me, she's just been a miserable brat ever since my wife came into our lives. That was the end of it, and it hurt me to say that. I want to understand her issue, but I also have to take care for my new kids, so I can't always put her or her siblings first anymore. I have no one else willing to talk to me about a thing, and still knowing how she used to be, and knowing what I said was wrong, I can see how I handled the situation might have been too irresponsible. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Why did you not at least store her stuff? Did you only try to reach her for 1 day? Also, the way you write about being a happy new family absolutely sounds like you replaced your kids. Even though they're older, they're still your kids and should be first. It sounds like you did everything possibly wrong to have your daughter feel like she's a part of your family, not the least of which was making promises you couldn't keep and lying. So I don't blame her or your other kids for inevitably going no contact with you in the future. But hey, you have a shiny new family. Reached out for 1 day, took her being busy as a personal attack, and couldn't even bother with a text message to inform her or say they need to talk about something important? Not a good excuse. And apparently, his daughter wasn't even worth a couple of bucks in storage fees. OP couldn't have made it any clearer to his daughter. He doesn't want her around. Totally the idiot. Yeah, I was honestly on board with OP until they mentioned that they got rid of their daughter's stuff. I can absolutely understand not wanting a bedroom to go empty after their child has moved out, but you don't just toss their belongings. My mother did the same thing to me, and I still haven't completely forgiven her. I wasn't living at home. I was living in the dorms. I was absolutely fine with the idea of her packing up my things, but throwing things away without consulting the owner first is cruel. You are the idiot. New kids don't trump old kids. Transitions need to be managed. Why exactly do you promise your stepkids things that take away from your children? What is wrong with you? OP, in case you're still reading, and because you hadn't added the gender or age of your bio kids, it is actually illegal in many places to put children of different genders in the same room post-puberty. You need to fix that urgently. All your kids should matter, not just the shiny new ones. I got engaged recently. My fiance and I have known each other since childhood. We reconnected in college and got engaged this year. We had a small engagement party thrown by my fiance's parents last weekend. It was him and me, his parents and 3 siblings, my sister and her mom, and my best friend from childhood. Unfortunately, my estranged parents showed up uninvited after my grandma, Dad's mom, told them about the party and where it was. Grandma is now estranged. So, some context. My sister is 4 years older than me, and she's my half-sister. My dad was with her mom. They broke up. He got with my mom. My mom wasn't happy he was having a kid with someone else. Despite this, they got married 3 weeks after my sister was born and stayed together despite my mom never showing the slightest amount of compassion for my sister. She mistreated her the whole time she was at my dad's, and my dad allowed it to happen. She would ignore her birthday, not get her anything for Christmas, despite making a huge deal for me, would leave her to fend for herself, and my dad would come home, see all this, and do nothing. My sister and I had a good relationship, so she kept her mom in the dark for the longest time. Her mom knew things were rocky, but had no idea how bad it was. So both sides of my extended family were forced to treat her the same, which is code for my mom's side didn't like that my sister wasn't their blood, and my dad's mainly were too indifferent to care. My grandma apologized to my sister and me a few years ago, so I was talking to her until this latest thing. Back to the incident at hand. So they show up. I tell them to leave. My fiance's parents come over and ask who they are. They start talking. My parents act as if they belong there, like things are normal. So I told my fiance's parents that my parents were leaving and that they were not welcome because they were crappy people who were okay with punishing a child for the actions of adults, all of which were out of the control of any child. My decision to say this was quite controversial, and I don't care that my parents think I'm the idiot. But some of my fiance's extended family thought it was impolite to do that. These are people who were not present, by the way. One of his siblings spread the story around. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. They show insane discourtesy by showing up uninvited to someone else's house, and you were expected to play nice? No, that's not okay. Your parents knew what they were doing, and shame on your grandmother for overstepping your boundaries. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Everyone else lacks the context to formulate an informed opinion, meaning they should keep their mouths shut. Good for you for reinforcing your boundaries. You make an excellent spouse as you're already a great who-man. Exactly. They felt entitled to show up uninvited to their adult daughter's party that someone else arranged. It's bizarre on different levels simply because of that. I'm sure it was weird for the fiance's parents to see their future daughter-in-law say such things about her parents in front of them, but she has good reason. And my sister was there, so I'd imagine she'd rather not interact with her abusers. It's not really bizarre. The parents intentionally showed up in a public place where their past wasn't well known, trusting societal conventions of not causing a scene to keep OP in line. OP, you are estranged from these people for a reason, and an explanation will have to be shared regardless, because people will want to know why they're not at the wedding. Some context. My parents usually buy presents in late November to avoid people. They usually make me, nearly adult female, buy the presents with them or alone. My parents don't like me, but they usually buy me presents. To the problem. My sister's 20. Piano broke in December. Because my parents had already bought her a Christmas gift, a nice car, everyone assumed that she would have to start saving to buy her own piano. Well, apparently not, because on Christmas, the present that was supposed to be mine turned out to be a new and very expensive piano. I was livid. I don't play the piano, and immediately started looking for prices to sell it. My parents said they were very disappointed since I didn't even let my sister touch it. Everyone in the family sided with them and insisted that I get things all the time, in which I replied that so do my other 2 sisters. Finally, my sister offered to buy it for less than half the price, which still was a lot of money, but I could buy myself many things for the real price, so I declined. The piano cost my parents around $25K. She wanted to give me the equivalent of $500, didn't even offer to give me more of a payment plan because we're family. I ended up selling it a few days ago. My sister said that she was really hurt and that I'd stopped her dream to be a concert performer. I know my parents are huge idiots, but I feel like I was greedy and mad and ended up taking it all out on my sister, who wasn't involved in my parents' decision. So, am I the idiot? To see if I understand this, since your parents had already given your sister a car, they give you a piano meant for her to use as a Christmas present for you, and you don't even play the piano. Your sister can give up the money and buy her own piano, since it apparently was assumed she was doing that. Or you could have traded the car for the piano. Not the idiot, OP. I'm sorry. Absolutely not the idiot. Your parents knew exactly what they were doing when they bought that piano and expected you to just bow down to their pressure. I'm glad you didn't give in to their emotional blackmail and made some money out of it. You didn't put a stop to her dream. She did that all by herself, and your parents are enabling her by clearly playing favorites. Surely your sister could sell her amazing car to get a piano if she wanted one so much and get something cheaper. And why does she need an expensive one anyway if she uses it to practice? The entitlement is astounding. My female 34 husband and I were married for 10 years before he passed away last year. We have a 4-year-old son. My husband was from a religious family that honestly always seemed to be kind of cult-like to me. His father had passed away when he was young, and he has a mother and a sister, both of whom cut him out of the family when he decided not to practice their religion anymore. They were invited to our wedding but refused to attend because it would not be in their church. It couldn't be because we were both not practicing that religion or living by their words of wisdom. They had only ever been cruel to me and my husband and only ever spoke to us to try to convert us. They said horrible things to us throughout our marriage and about our child. When my husband passed, they did not come to his funeral or reach out to me. Recently, his mom and sister have asked to see my son. I have told them that they are welcome to see him, but do not want him to grow up with any religious bias, so they cannot talk to him about their religion or try to convert him. They promised me, and I allowed it. After spending a day with the sister, he came home, and although he had a good time, he told me she offered to take him to church, and he wanted to go. I called her and we argued. She said the church is a big part of her life, and she can't just not bring it up, and if he's interested, it's his right to learn about it. The thing is, my husband had horror stories about growing up in that church and wouldn't have wanted it for our child. So I told them if they wanted to see him again, it would only be under my supervision. They were very upset and claimed I was a bad mom for not letting my son decide what he wanted and a bigot for not allowing him to learn about their religion. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. The kid's 4. That's not remotely old enough to decide for himself when it comes to learning about religion, and they know it. Besides, it doesn't matter what the disagreement is about. You had a condition. They broke it. They've made it clear they never had any intention of taking your wishes seriously. At this point, you being willing to consider fostering any relationship at all is generous, and they really shouldn't be pushing their luck. I'm surprised you allowed your son to go over there unsupervised at all. Those people are strangers in a cult who haven't been treating you well in the past and didn't give a crap when their family member died. You owe them nothing but maybe a restraining order. Your husband was estranged for a good reason, and you should trust his judgment. Protect your son. OP, a lot of people jump to warning about the threat of grandparents' rights, where it's not warranted. But here it really is, and you should definitely consult a lawyer. If you are in the States and your spouse passes away, frequently his parents can get court-mandated visitation. Your best bet is honestly just not to let them see the kid at all, so they don't have an established relationship to show a judge. OP, you need to stop being so naive, seriously. Please consult a lawyer and make sure you document anything that proves they had a bad relationship with your husband. Screenshots from his phone messages, emails, your phone messages and emails too. They are a real incredible threat to you and your son. They can sue you for grandparents' rights or even custody, and while they may not win, they can make your life a nightmare. Make sure his school pickup is password only. Make sure his school knows about the grandparents' threat. Me, 27 male, and Maddie, 27 female, have been together for 4.5 years. We were in the same graduating class from our small farm town. Recently, Maddie got a job in social media marketing in a big city, about an hour from our hometown. Since we've been here, she's made friends with these girls from her work. I describe them as the stereotypical influencer types. They have huge follower counts on Insta, are hard to talk to, and have these older men sending them money. I'm forced to hang out with them sometimes, and the stuff they say about men is awful. Basically, they brag about playing dudes and plotting how to find a rich guy. Maybe it's how I was raised as a farm kid, but it definitely makes me feel icky. I've expressed my discomfort to Maddie, and she understands, but being friends with these girls will help her career, and she also doesn't have any other friends in the city yet. I had my hometown friends visit a few months back, and Maddie invited her friends to go clubbing with us. My friends are all farmers, some own their own operation. Maddie's friends literally ignored them at the pregame in the bars. My friends understood after I explained, but they just aren't used to those types of girls. Every year, my best friend throws a party at his huge house. I drive up a day early and help him set up, with Maddie coming the next day. She brought her friends to my surprise. My best friend is wealthy. He owns his own farm, has a big pool and awesome property. Maddie's friends immediately took an interest in my friend. My other friends showed up with four-wheelers and gave the girls rides on them all night. Maddie's friends had a really good time, and I was happy everyone got along. When we got back to the city, Maddie's friends came over and asked me about several of my friends. I told them a bit about our friend group and what they do for work. One friend asked for my best friend's Snapchat, and I said, I don't know if that's the best idea. Maddie and her friends kept pushing, asking why I wouldn't give out my friend's info. I kind of changed the subject till they left. Maddie got upset with me, asking why I was being weird, and I said that I didn't want her friends taking advantage of my friends the way they do other guys. My friends are simple guys who would obviously be attracted to these girls and would probably be another sucker of theirs. These girls completely ignored my friends until they realized the money some of them had and that there were plenty of other guys out there for them. I got upset, saying that these are Maddie's friends too, and she should want to watch out for them. I'm now being called an idiot for judging her friends. I said I'm not judging them for what they do, that's their business, but I'm aware of the type of people her friends are, and I don't want to put my friends, who are a little gullible, honestly, into a bad spot. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. They are gold diggers. They, as you said, were only interested in your friends when they found out that they had money. Maddie needs to be reminded that the night that her friends first met them, they ignored them. They didn't give your friends the time of day. She needs to be reminded that they said themselves that they only found money attractive when it comes to men. You should tell her that you don't want your friends heartbroken and that you're only looking out for them. OP, it's kind of alarming that your girlfriend is siding with them all of a sudden when the friendship was originally supposed to be temporary until she made new ones. These girls seem dreadful and like they would 1000% take advantage of your friends. You have more responsibility to protect your friends than to make your girlfriend's fake friends happy. I don't even see why she's starting an argument to begin with. Also, a little hypocritical to be like, yeah, I know they suck to be around and take advantage of people, but I'm just using them to advance my career and for emotional support until I find real friends I actually like. But yeah, I wouldn't give out other people's info to people I actually like because that's an invasion of their privacy. Maybe if you want to smooth things over with your partner, you can let your friend know they wanted his info, but make sure he knows what trouble he might be getting into.